Let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. Hey, that's one of my favorite winter songs. You know why? Because I love snow. When I was little, my brothers and I would build these humongous snowmen. They'd be huge. And then we would scurry around looking for all the pieces to complete our creation. We'd look for the eyes, the nose, the mouth, and we usually end up finding pieces of junk. Old broken glass, bottle caps, and more than likely sometimes just we forgot all about it and just had this great big mound of snow, but we didn't care. Now, if your family is planning on building a snowman or snowwoman this winter or in future winters, never fear, I have the ultimate snowman kit. I'm going to help you make the eyes, the nose, a beautiful mouth, and some buttons for your snowman creations. And what's really cool is that Sherry has sewn a really neat drawstring bag that you can store all of your pieces in that bag from winter to winter. It's really a cool project. Check out the sewing category for her sewing of the drawstring bag. Now, this is a very inexpensive project. I did use hand tools to build this, but if you decide that you want to use power tools, go right ahead, but by all means, make sure that you wear all of your safety equipment. Now, the first step is that we're going to create the eyes. Okay, the first thing we're going to build are the eyes to our snowman, because let's face it, if he doesn't have eyes, how is he going to warn you about incoming snowballs? Now, I purchased a 1.5-inch diameter wooden closet pole to create my eyes, and I did buy a 48-inch piece. In fact, all the pieces I bought are about 48 inches long, because I want to build enough of these kits for my family and friends. Now to start, make a mark about 1 inch down the dowel, which should be a good thickness for the eye. Clamp the dowel down to the work surface and cut the section using a small handsaw. Now don't worry about how straight the cut is, because the rough edge will go into the snow and nobody's going to see it. Now here's a little tip. To start the cut, use your thumb to guide the first couple of strokes. Just draw the blade back a couple of times towards you to get the cut started. Then you can start using full strokes. Now, just a side note, I use a handsaw called a pole saw, or it's also referred to as a Japanese saw. Now, the power of the cut is when you pull the saw towards you, not on the downstroke. Now this little saw seems to give me a little more control than a normal saw. Once you've made the cut, repeat the steps so that you have 2 eyes, then sand the edges smooth using a piece of 120 grit sandpaper. Now for the mouth, I used 2 different size square pieces of lumber, 1 inch and 3/4 inches. The mouth starts larger at the center of the smile, tapering to the smaller pieces at the end. Now to make the mouth, use the same process of the eyes. Measure 1 inch down the square piece of lumber, clamp and cut using a handsaw, and then sand smooth. Cut at least 6 of each size. Now you may have a large snowman with a big grin, or a small snowman with a simple smile, or even a frown if a warming trend is occurring. Okay, now for the buttons, I used a 2-inch by 2-inch wooden dowel or wooden piece of lumber that I cut the size using the same method that I have for the eyes and also for the mouthpieces, but I did something a little bit more unique on the edges. I wanted a more rough look so that the buttons looked like they were worn or used. Now to do that, I taped a piece of sandpaper down to my bench, then just roughed up the edges on one side to soften the edges for a more worn appearance. Now the nose took a little more effort. Using the same wooden dowel as the eyes and a block plane, mark about 6 inches down the dowel, and using a carrot as a model, start whittling down the nose using the plane. Now work from the large end down to the pointed end until you fashion a nose to be proud of. Then you just want to sand it smooth. Now I gotta be honest with you, this is going to take some time, but it really is part of the fun of the project. Now when you have finished the sanding, you just want to cut the nose to length. Okay. Now that all the pieces are completed and sanded and everything's ready to go, you have to decide how you're going to place the pieces into the snow, into the snowman, and how are they going to stay put. Well, you could just place them into the snow, but more than likely they're just going to pop out. So what I have done, using a small wooden dowel, I've drilled holes in the back of each piece so that you can insert the dowel, and then you have something that's actually going to be secured in the snow and hold it in position. Now here's a little tip. You want to place a small piece of tape on the drill bit to give you a stopping point so that you don't drill through the piece. Now as you drill, when you reach the tape, stop the drill. Then you want to cut the dowel to length. I think about 3 or 4 inches should give you enough sticking stick to hold the pieces in place in the snow. Now you have the option to glue the stick into place or just place it in when needed. Then you can remove it when you want to store it in Sherry's great little drawstring bag. The final step is to paint the pieces the appropriate color. Of course, I used the traditional coal color, black for the eyes, mouth, and buttons, and orange for the nose. But hey, it'll be your snowman, so use any color your little heart desires. Hey, speaking of hearts, maybe I should give my snowman a heart, a brain, courage.